The cold autumn wind swept through Seoul Memorial Park as Kim Tae-ho walked slowly down the familiar gravel path. His black coat flapped behind him, while fallen leaves crunched under his expensive leather shoes. 5 years had passed since the Kepler 442b mining disaster, yet the pain in his chest felt as fresh as the day he received that terrible call from his company's operations center. Tae-ho clutched a small bouquet of white chrysanthemums, his son Woo Jin's favorite flowers. The cemetery was nearly empty at this early morning hour, which suited him perfectly. He preferred to grieve alone, away from the media cameras and corporate executives who still whispered about the tragedy that had claimed his only child. He rounded the corner near the old oak tree. Tae-ho stopped dead in his tracks. Someone was already at Woo Jin's grave. A small figure sat cross-legged on the grass beside the polished granite headstone. At first glance, Tae-ho thought it might be a human child, but as he moved closer, his breath caught in his throat. The boy's skin had a faint blue tint that shimmered in the morning sunlight, and his ears were slightly pointed. Most striking were his eyes, large luminescent orbs that seemed to glow with their own inner light. The alien child was speaking in broken Korean, his voice soft and melodic. "Woo Jin Hyung, I finally made it to Earth. The journey was very difficult, but I promised your memory I would come." Tae-ho's heart pounded as he approached. His security detail had remained at the cemetery entrance per his usual instructions, leaving him alone with this impossible sight. The boy looked no older than 10 in human years, wearing simple brown clothes that appeared to be handmade from some kind of durable fabric. "Who are you?" Tae-ho asked quietly, not wanting to startle the child. The boy turned, and Tae-ho saw tears streaming down his blue-tinted cheeks. Those luminous eyes held a depth of sadness that seemed far too mature for such a young face. "My name is Nex," the boy said, standing up and bowing respectfully in the Korean manner. "You must be Woo Jin Hyung's father. I can see the resemblance in your eyes." Tae-ho's mind raced. This alien child not only knew his dead son, but had somehow learned Korean customs. "How do you know about Woo Jin? What are you doing at his grave?" Nexi wiped his tears with the back of his small hand. "I traveled here from Kepler 442b, from the same mining colony where your son worked, where he—" The boy's voice broke. "Where he saved my entire family." The words hit Tae-ho like a physical blow. He stumbled backward, nearly dropping the flowers. "That's impossible. The mining disaster killed everyone in Sector 7. No survivors were reported." "The reports were wrong," Nex said, his luminescent eyes meeting Tae-ho's gaze directly. "Woo Jin Hyung saved 200 of my people before the tunnels collapsed. He gave his life so we could live." Tae-ho's legs felt weak. He lowered himself onto a nearby bench, staring at this extraordinary child who claimed to hold the truth about his son's final moments. "My company's investigation said it was a structural failure, an accident. Woo Jin was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time." Nex shook his head vigorously. No, it was not accident. Woo Jin Hyung knew the supports were failing. He could have escaped through the emergency shaft, but he stayed behind to activate the evacuation protocols. He manually sealed the breach to give us time to reach the surface. The alien boy reached into a small pouch at his waist and pulled out what looked like a crystalline device no bigger than his palm. It pulsed with the same luminescent glow as his eyes. "I have proof. Woo Jin Hyung gave this to my father, before the final collapse. It contains his last message." Tae-ho's hands trembled as he reached for the device. The crystal felt warm to the touch and seemed to respond to his DNA, glowing brighter as his fingers wrapped around it. Images suddenly flashed in his mind, his son's face determined and brave speaking into the recording device as explosions echoed in the background. "How did you get here?" Tae-ho whispered, overwhelmed by the implications of what he was seeing. "Worked on cargo ships for 3 years, Nex explained. "Cleaning engine compartments, sorting supplies, anything the captains would let me do for passage. Many ships, many stops. I learned your language by listening to the human crew members. I saved every credit to buy transport to Earth." Tae-ho looked at this remarkable child who had crossed the galaxy just to visit his son's grave. "Why? Why would you do this?" Fresh tears spilled from Nex's glowing eyes. Because Wu Jin Hyung was hero to my people. He gave me chance to grow, up to see my parents again. Coming here was only way to say thank you properly. The billionaire sat in stunned silence, holding the alien recording device while everything he thought he knew about his son's death crumbled around him. Nex held the crystalline device carefully in his small blue hands, its surface pulsing with gentle light that matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. "This contains the real truth about what happened in the mines," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "Your company never showed you this recording." Tae-ho stared at the alien technology, his mind still reeling from everything he had just learned. The device looked nothing like human recording equipment. It was organic, almost alive, with veins of light running through its translucent surface like a living nervous system. "How does it work?" Tae-ho asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Touch it with both hands and close your eyes," Nex instructed. "My people's technology connects directly with memory centers. You will see and hear everything as if you were there yourself." With shaking fingers, Tae-ho placed both palms on the warm crystal. The moment his skin made contact, the world around him dissolved. Suddenly, he was standing in the depths of the Kepler 442b mining complex. The air was thick with dust and the acrid smell of overheated machinery. Emergency lights flashed red along the tunnel walls, casting eerie shadows that danced with each pulse. In the distance, he could hear the groaning of stressed metal supports and the panicked voices of alien workers. Then he saw his son. Wu Jin stood at the central control console, his mining uniform covered in dirt and his face streaked with sweat. Around him, dozens of blue-skinned Valari workers were running toward the emergency exits, carrying their injured companions. The entire tunnel system was shaking violently as sections began to collapse one by one. Evacuation Protocol Alpha 7. "Shares active," Wu Jin spoke into his communication device, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "All Valari personnel proceed to Emergency Shaft 3 immediately. Do not stop for equipment or personal belongings." A massive explosion rocked the mine, and several support beams crashed down just meters from where Wu Jin stood. Instead of running, he moved deeper into the danger zone toward the main structural controls. "Sir, you need to evacuate now," shouted a Valari foreman, his luminous eyes wide with terror. "The primary supports are failing." "Not yet," Wu Jin replied, his fingers flying over the control panels. "I need to activate the emergency bulkheads. If I don't seal these sections, the collapse will spread to the residential areas. Your families won't make it to the surface in time." Tae-ho watched in amazement as his son worked with impossible speed and precision. Wu Jin was manually overriding safety protocols, redirecting power to the emergency systems, doing everything he could to buy the alien workers precious minutes to escape. Another explosion, closer this time. The ceiling began to crack, sending chunks of rock tumbling down. One piece struck Wu Jin in the shoulder, spinning him around, but he immediately returned to the controls. "The residential sector has 200 Valari families," Wu Jin said, into his recorder, blood trickling from his forehead. "They have children, elderly, injured workers who can't move quickly. Someone has to hold the line until they reach safety." The recording showed Nex's father, a tall Valari engineer, rushing back into the danger zone. "Young human, come with us now. You have done enough." Wu Jin smiled, and Tae-ho felt his heart break at seeing that familiar expression on his son's face. "Take this recording device to my family on Earth. Tell them I was proud to serve alongside your people. Tell them the Valari are not just workers, they're our partners among the stars." The Valari engineer caught the crystal device as Wu Jin tossed it to him. "I will carry your message across the galaxy if necessary," he promised. "Go!" Wu Jin shouted, as another support beam groaned ominously. "I'll activate the final seals once you're clear." The recording showed the last group of Valari workers disappearing into the emergency shaft. Wu Jin waited, watching his instruments, counting down the seconds until they would be safe. When the green light finally appeared on his console, indicating the evacuation was complete, he placed his hand on the final control. "For Earth and the Valari Alliance," he said quietly, then pressed the button. The emergency bulkhead slammed shut with tremendous force, sealing off the collapsing sections, but trapping Wu Jin inside. The recording device captured his final moments as the ceiling came down, his last words being a message of hope for future cooperation between their species. Taeho jerked his hands away from the crystal, gasping as reality rushed back. He found himself sitting on the cemetery bench, tears streaming down his face for the first time since the funeral. The sanitized corporate report had painted his son's death as a tragic accident, but the truth was so much more powerful. He could have escaped, Taeho whispered, his voice breaking. He chose to stay. Nex nodded solemnly. My father kept his promise. He spent his life savings to send me to Earth with this recording. I worked on cargo ships, scrubbing engine coolant systems, and sorting asteroid ore shipments. I ate one meal a day for 2 years to save enough credits for passage. Captain Yuki of the freight hauler Stellar Wind finally agreed to bring me to your solar system. The alien boy's journey had been extraordinary. He described sleeping in cargo holds filled with exotic crystals from the Andromeda trade routes, working alongside robot crews who taught him basic human languages, and surviving ion storms that could tear apart unshielded vessels. Every star system I passed through, I told them about Wu Jin-hyung's sacrifice, Nex continued. The story has spread across 3 galaxies now. Your son is becoming a legend among spacefaring peoples. Taeho looked at his son's gravestone with new understanding. Wu Jin had not died as a victim of corporate negligence. He had died as a hero who chose to save an entire alien community. For the first time in 5 years, Taeho felt something other than grief when he thought of his son. He felt pride. Back at his corporate headquarters in downtown Seoul, Taeho sat in his glass-walled office overlooking the sprawling cityscape. The crystalline recording device from Nex rested on his mahogany desk, still pulsing with that strange alien light. For 5 years, he had accepted his company's explanation of the mining disaster, but now everything felt like a lie. He activated his secure communication system and called his head of operations. Director Park, I need the original incident reports from Kepler 442b, not the summary versions. Everything. Sir, those files are classified under corporate protection protocols, Park replied nervously. The legal department sealed them after the settlement negotiations. I'm ordering you to unseal them now. Within an hour, holographic displays filled Taeho's office with hundreds of documents, video logs, and communication records from the mining operation. As he dug deeper into the files, a horrifying pattern emerged. His company had been cutting corners on alien worker safety for years, viewing the Valari employees as expendable resources rather than sentient beings deserving protection. The truth hit him like a physical blow. Internal memos showed that company executives knew about the structural problems in Sector 7 weeks before the collapse. They had chosen to continue operations rather than halt production for expensive repairs. The Valari workers had been classified as non-essential personnel in emergency protocols, meaning they would be evacuated last in any disaster scenario. Worst of all, the company had deliberately covered up Wu Jin's heroic actions to avoid paying massive reparations to the 200 Valari families he had saved. If the truth came out, it would prove the company's negligence had directly led to the disaster. They turned my son into a footnote, Taeho whispered, his hands clenching into fists. A soft knock interrupted his investigation. His assistant entered, with Nex, who had spent the day exploring the corporate building with wide-eyed curiosity. The young Valari had insisted on staying close to Taeho, claiming he felt safer near Wu Jin-hyung's father. The security scanners are having difficulty processing the boy's biometrics, his assistant explained, and he seems to understand our computer systems better than our IT department. Taeho looked up from the holographic displays to see Nex, staring at the complex data projections with intense fascination. The alien child approached one of the 3-dimensional charts showing mining operation schematics and began manipulating it with simple hand gestures. This design is very inefficient, Nex said matter-of-factly, his luminous eyes scanning the hologram. Your mining robots are moving through space in straight lines when they should follow dimensional curves. You're wasting 74% of your energy. Chief Engineer Kim, who had been working on the same efficiency problems for months, nearly choked on his coffee. That's impossible. Those calculations would require quantum mathematics that we haven't even theorized yet. Nex tilted his head, looking confused. But it's simple. Space bends like water around heavy objects. Mining ships should swim through the currents, not fight against them. He waved his hand, and the holographic display shifted to show flowing, curved pathways that somehow made perfect sense. My people have always understood space flow, Nex explained. We feel the dimensional currents the same way fish feel water movement. Your species tries to force your way through space instead of moving with it. Engineer Kim stared at the new projections, his face pale with amazement. If these calculations are correct, we could reduce fuel consumption by 80% and increase mining speed by 300%. This would revolutionize everything. Over the next few hours, Nex demonstrated abilities that left Taeho's entire technical staff speechless. The boy could interface directly with computer systems through touch, understanding complex engineering problems instantly. He showed them how Valari navigation worked, using what he called dimensional mathematics to calculate faster-than-light travel routes that human scientists had been struggling to understand for decades. Your species has the building skills, Nex explained, manipulating another holographic display to show spacecraft designs. But you don't understand how to move through deep space efficiently. My people know the flow patterns, but we don't have the technology to build fast ships. Together we could explore the entire galaxy. Taeho watched this extraordinary demonstration while his investigation continued running in the background. The contrast was stark. Here was proof that aliens and humans could achieve incredible things through cooperation, while his company's files showed nothing but exploitation and betrayal. More damning evidence kept appearing in the corporate records. His company had mining operations on 17 different worlds, and the pattern was always the same. Alien workers were paid a fraction of human wages, given substandard safety equipment, and housed in inferior facilities. When accidents happened, the company's standard procedure was to cover up the details and pay minimal compensation to alien families. "Sir," his legal advisor called from across the room, "I've found something disturbing. The company has been systematically underreporting alien casualties across all our operations. The actual death toll is nearly 10 times higher than what we've published." Taeho's stomach turned as he realized the full scope of his company's crimes. Thousands of alien workers had died due to corporate negligence, their families left with nothing while his shareholders grew wealthy from the profits of their labor. He looked at Nex, who was patiently teaching quantum mathematics to a room full of PhD engineers, as if he were helping children with basic arithmetic. This remarkable boy represented everything humanity could gain through genuine partnership with alien species, advanced technology, scientific breakthroughs, and expansion into the stars through cooperation rather than conquest. Instead, humanity had chosen the path of exploitation, treating their alien neighbors as disposable resources to be used and discarded. Taeho realized that his son had died not just saving Valari lives, but trying to build the bridge between species that could have transformed both civilizations. The weight of this revelation settled on his shoulders like a mountain of responsibility. The first sign of danger came at 11:47 p.m. when Taeho's security system detected unauthorized access attempts on his corporate network. Red warning lights flashed across his office monitors as someone tried to delete the mining disaster files he had been investigating. "Sir, we have a problem." His head of security, Captain Lee, burst into the office. 3 unmarked hover vehicles just landed on the building's roof. Armed personnel are entering through the executive floors. Taeho's blood ran cold. He grabbed Nex, who had been sleeping on the office couch after their long day of investigation. "Wake up. We need to leave. Now." The young Valari's luminous eyes snapped open instantly, and he seemed to sense the danger without explanation. "Bad people are coming," he whispered, his alien intuition picking up threats that humans couldn't detect. Captain Lee led them toward the emergency elevator, but the doors suddenly locked with a harsh electronic beep. "They've taken control of building systems," he reported grimly. "We're trapped." The maintenance tunnels," Taeho said, remembering the old subway infrastructure beneath Seoul that connected to his building's foundation. "There's an access point in the basement parking garage." They raced down the stairwell as heavy footsteps echoed from the floors above. Taeho could hear his own employees being questioned roughly, their voices filled with confusion and fear. These weren't ordinary security personnel. They moved with military precision and had advanced equipment that could override his building's defenses. In the parking garage, Nex suddenly grabbed Taeho's arm. "Wait," he whispered, his glowing eyes scanning the shadows. "Three humans hiding behind the concrete pillars. They have energy weapons." Before Taeho could react, laser blasts erupted from the darkness. Captain Lee shoved them behind a parked vehicle as red beams scorched the concrete where they had been standing. These weren't stun weapons. The corporate enforcers had orders to kill. "This way," Taeho shouted, pulling Nex toward a maintenance hatch hidden behind the building's main support column. They crawled through the narrow opening into Seoul's old underground tunnel system, a maze of abandoned subway lines and utility corridors that stretched for kilometers beneath the city. The tunnels were dark and cramped, filled with the sound of dripping water and distant machinery. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows on the curved walls as they moved deeper underground. Behind them, they could hear their pursuers breaking through the maintenance hatch. "They're following our heat signatures," Captain Lee panted, checking his scanner. "Corporate Black Ops teams have military-grade tracking equipment." Nex suddenly stopped and placed his small blue hand against the tunnel wall. His luminous eyes closed in concentration, and Taeho felt a strange tingling in the air around them. "The old metro system connects to the Han River drainage network," the boy said. "But there's something else. I can feel electromagnetic patterns from spacecraft landing nearby." "More company enforcers?" Taeho asked. "No," Nex replied, his expression brightening. "Velari rescue ship. My people have been tracking me since I left our home system. They came to bring me back safely. As they navigated the winding tunnels, laser fire erupted behind them. The corporate assassins were getting closer, their advanced equipment allowing them to move quickly through the underground maze." Taeho realized this wasn't just about silencing him. They wanted to eliminate Nex too, probably to prevent any alien species from learning about humanity's crimes. They emerged from a drainage outlet near the Han River to find an incredible sight. A sleek Velari spacecraft hovered silently above the water, its hull shimmering with the same luminescent patterns as Nex's eyes. The ship was beautiful, organic-looking, like a living creature made of metal and light. "Nex!" a voice called from the ship's open boarding ramp. Several adult Velari descended, their blue skin gleaming in the moonlight. Taeho recognized one of them from the mining disaster recording, Nex's father. "The corporate soldiers will be here soon," Nex's father said urgently. "We must leave immediately." But Nex shook his head, looking directly at Taeho. "I won't go until this is finished. Wu Jin-hyung died to protect my people. Now we must protect his father." The young Velari pulled out another crystalline device, this one larger and more complex than the recording crystal. It pulsed with mathematical equations that seemed to write themselves in the air around it. "This contains the dimensional navigation formulas your species needs for true space exploration," Nex explained. "With this knowledge, human ships could travel between star systems in days instead of years. You could explore the entire galaxy." Taeho stared at the device, understanding its incredible value. This single piece of Velari technology could make him the most powerful person in human space, worth trillions of credits, and guaranteeing his company's dominance for centuries. "But," Nex continued, his luminous eyes meeting Taeho's gaze, "my people will only share this knowledge if humanity proves it can change. If you expose the truth about the mining disasters and treat alien species as equals, not slaves." Laser fire erupted from the tunnel entrance as the corporate enforcers finally caught up. The Velari ship's defensive systems activated, creating a shimmering energy barrier that deflected the incoming shots. "Choose now," Nex said simply. "Keep the secret and preserve your empire, or tell the truth and help both our species reach the stars together." Taeho looked at the crystalline device containing the key to faster-than-light travel, then at the corporate soldiers trying to kill them to protect their conspiracy. He thought of his son's sacrifice and the thousands of alien workers who had died due to human greed. He activated his emergency broadcast system, overriding every communication satellite in human space. "This is Kim Tae-ho, CEO of Stellar Mining Consortium." His voice echoed across all human colonies simultaneously. "I have evidence of systematic crimes against alien species in our mining operations. My son died a hero trying to save Valari. Workers and our company covered it up. The time for lies is over." As he broadcast the truth to the entire galaxy, Nex smiled and handed him the navigation crystal, sealing humanity's path toward genuine partnership among the stars. 3 years had passed since Tae-ho's galaxy-wide broadcast exposed the truth about humanity's treatment of alien species. The corporate headquarters that once housed his mining empire had been transformed into something entirely different, a gleaming center for interspecies cooperation that bustled with activity from dawn to dusk. The Wu Jin Foundation for Interspecies Peace occupied 50 floors of the renovated building, each level dedicated to different aspects of galactic cooperation. Valari mathematicians worked alongside human engineers in the spacecraft design laboratories. Crystalline creatures from the Andromeda sector shared their knowledge of energy manipulation with Earth's top physicists. Even the mysterious gas-based life forms from the Outer Rim had sent representatives to contribute their understanding of stellar navigation. Tae-ho stood in his new office, watching through floor-to-ceiling windows as the first prototype of the revolutionary Unity-class starship prepared for its maiden voyage. The vessel was a perfect fusion of human engineering and Valari dimensional mathematics. Sleek metallic hull sections flowed together with organic curves that seemed to bend space around them. "The quantum drive is calibrated and ready," announced Chief Engineer Kim, who had become the Foundation's head of spacecraft development. With Nex's navigation formulas, this ship should be able to travel from Earth to the Proxima Centauri system in just 4 days. Nex, now 13 and serving as the Foundation's first alien ambassador, studied the holographic displays showing the ship's energy patterns. His luminous eyes had grown brighter over the years, and his understanding of both human and Valari technology had become extraordinary. "The dimensional currents are flowing perfectly," he said with excitement. "The ship is riding the space-time waves instead of fighting against them. This is exactly how Wu Jin Hyang would have wanted us to explore the galaxy, together, in harmony." The test flight was a complete success. The Unity-class starship performed beyond all expectations, demonstrating that interspecies cooperation could achieve what neither species could accomplish alone. Within months, orders were pouring in from across the galaxy as other civilizations sought to acquire the revolutionary technology. But Tae-ho had learned from his past mistakes. Instead of hoarding the knowledge for profit, the Foundation freely shared the spacecraft designs with any species that committed to peaceful exploration and fair treatment of all galactic citizens. The only requirement was signing the Wu Jin Accords, a set of principles protecting the rights and dignity of all sentient beings. The Foundation's influence spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. The reptilian Saurans from the Vega system brought their expertise in asteroid mining, but insisted on safety protocols that protected all workers equally. The insectoid hive minds contributed their knowledge of efficient resource distribution, ensuring that no planet's inhabitants would face shortages. Even the energy beings from distant quasars shared their secrets of faster-than-light communication. 67 different species have joined our coalition, Nex reported during one of their weekly meetings. The Galactic Trade Federation has officially recognized the Foundation as the primary organization for interspecies cooperation. We're changing how the entire galaxy thinks about exploration and development. The transformation wasn't without challenges. Several human corporations attempted to steal the technology for military purposes, while some alien empires saw the Foundation as a threat to their territorial ambitions. But each time conflict arose, the diverse coalition of species worked together to find peaceful solutions. The Foundation's greatest triumph came when they successfully mediated a centuries-old war between the silicon-based rock creatures of Titan Prime and the plasma entities of the Corona Nebula. Using Valari dimensional mathematics and human diplomatic strategies, they created neutral meeting spaces where both species could communicate safely. On the 5th anniversary of the Foundation's establishment, Tae-ho and Nex returned to Seoul, Memorial Park for their annual visit to Wu Jin's grave, but this time they weren't alone. Representatives from 43 different species had gathered to honor the human who had started their movement toward galactic unity. The cemetery had been transformed into a beautiful memorial garden, with plants and crystalline formations from dozens of worlds creating a living testament to interspecies cooperation. A towering Soran diplomat placed a chunk of rare meteor metal at the base of Wu Jin's headstone. His sacrifice saved not just the Velari workers, the reptilian being said in perfect Korean, but showed all of us a better way to live among the stars. The Hive Mind Collective had constructed an intricate sculpture that seemed to shift and move with its own intelligence, representing the complex beauty of different species working together. Energy beings from the outer rim created a light display that painted aurora patterns across the evening sky. Wu Jinhyung would be amazed to see this, Nek said softly, his luminous eyes reflecting the colorful lights above. His father has built exactly the kind of future he died trying to protect. Tae-ho knelt beside his son's grave, surrounded by the incredible diversity of galactic life that had come to pay their respects. Where once humanity had spread through space as conquerors and exploiters, they now traveled as partners and friends to countless civilizations. The Foundation's newest project was already underway, a massive space station at the Galactic Center, where all species could meet, trade, and share knowledge freely. They called it Wu Jin Station, ensuring that his son's name would be remembered across the galaxy as a symbol of courage and unity. As the memorial ceremony concluded and the various alien representatives prepared to return to their home worlds, Tae-ho felt a deep sense of peace. His son's sacrifice had planted a seed that grew into something magnificent, a galactic civilization built on cooperation, respect, and the shared dream of exploring the universe together. The transformation was complete. Humanity had evolved, from cosmic predators into the galaxy's greatest champions of unity and justice, and Wu Jin's legacy would guide them among the stars forever. The end.